Let's get right to it with Florida Congressman Greg Steube. Okay, the president threatening to have Adam Schiff, the Bidens, and Pelosi testify in a Senate trial. Your reaction to that and to Nancy Pelosi saying she does not hate the president?
Well, we definitely need to hear from Adam Schiff, and I hope that the Senate and Lindsey Graham, who said that he will call him, I hope he does call him, because I think the American people deserve to know what conversations he had with the whistleblowers before they filed their complaint, what conversation his staff had with the whistleblower before they filed the complaint. So absolutely, I hope that the Senate calls these witnesses. And clearly, the Bidens had influence and involvement in Ukraine and Ukraine policy, because the former vice president, in his own words, admitted to a quid pro quo with withholding aid. So absolutely, I think the Senate should take full advantage of their subpoena authority power.
The Washington Post averaged a dozen polls. This story got buried. They did the analysis. They averaged a dozen polls that were done during the hearings. The majority of voters in 8 battleground states now oppose impeachment. His approval rating is sticking at 43%. So here's the issue. This isn't moving the needle with voters.
No, and I think that they thought by bringing in a bunch of law professors to talk about impeachment and the Constitution that would convince the American people that for the last year that this charade of an impeachment would be the worthwhile thing to go down, and the American people aren't having it.
Yeah.
I wouldn't sit back and listen to a bunch of Harvard and Stanford law professors and think that that's going to change my mind.
Okay, let's get to this. By the way, the Washington Post average of the dozen poll, 51% of voters oppose impeachment. Here's the thing. Nancy Pelosi again admitted, I'm getting back to this, admitted the impeachment push started with the Mueller-Russia probe, that the initial investigation of the U.S. involvement started much of this. Al Green, Democrat, said today there's no limit to the number of times the House can vote to impeach. Watch this.
Limit on the number of times the Senate can vote to convict or not a president. No limit to the number of times the House can vote to impeach or not a president.
Okay, but Republican Tom Reed told me last night Democrats, a silent number of them, oppose impeachment. Watch this.
Not about Republicans breaking in support against impeachment or for impeachment. I'm hearing about Democrats voting against going forward with impeachment. I don't have any names, but I'll tell you that that list is growing by the hour here, and as this unfolds in real time.
Are you hearing that too?
I'm not hearing it directly from Democrats, but I can tell you this. I'm sure their polling in these moderate districts is showing them that there's not support amongst independents for this impeachment process. And if you're one of those 31 Democrats in a seat that Trump won in 2016, I think you're going to think real hard about voting for impeachment that the American people don't support on the floor of the House.
I want to get to this. We're going to dig into later how California Congressman Devin Nunes is threatening legal action against Adam Schiff for putting Nunes's phone logs into the House Intelligence impeachment report. Adam Schiff saying that Devin Nunes, it shows Devin Nunes is complicit. These are only phone logs. They don't have the content of the phone call. So Adam Schiff can't say Devin Nunes is complicit of anything, doesn't have the information.